Welcome back to Midnight Who Extra, and today we're continuing our look at the Classic Doctor's new Monsters range. Now, if you would like to watch the first part of this review, the link will be in the description below. So let's kick this video off with reviewing the Empire of the Racnoss. The Racnoss features the 5th Doctor as he gets involved in a conflict between a couple of Racnoss, the Empire, the Emperor, and the Empress. So basically, the Empress of Mars loses her children by the Emperor who takes them. Lots of E's in this. This is fun. But that's basically kind of just, and the Doctor can't really, he's not either, it's hard for him to find the right side, because it's, when you're dealing with the Racnoss, it's very hard, I guess, to figure out what side, because both of them are, they're both tricky. The Emperor, the Empress, they're both kind of tricky, and they're kind of, they're evil. They really are evil. So, of course, it's hard for the Doctor to find the right side he's battling on. He, you think this is the good person, but then all of a sudden it turns out maybe not, and maybe not. So it's actually kind of interesting to see the Doctor deal with this, because I like the Doctor in these kind of situations where it's kind of hard to find the good guy, So basically the Doctor gets pulled out of the vortex, where he gets a distress call from a Racnoss who's being attacked by Time Lords. Yes, his people are at war with the Racnoss. So, of course, another war with the Time Lords. Time Lords, they always start those wars, it seems like. He, of course, saves the Racnoss from destruction, brings it back to the planet. But he gets kind of jailed for that, because he might be treason, conspiracy, and he gets thrown in with 2 fellow Time Lords. And, of course, they go on a journey to find the children of the Racnoss. Empress. That's basically kind of the gist of the story. So overall, what did I think of the story? Well, I liked it. It was kind of very fun to actually get more info on the Racnoss. Because in The Runaway Bride, we got one Racnoss and some information, but with this audio, it really expanded the whole mythology of the Racnoss, and it was very fascinating to actually kind of learn a bit more about the Racnoss. You also get to see how kind of cruel they are, and I like that. I like being able to get another story with some monsters who only had 1 episode and get some expansion on them. Because, the Racnoss in that episode were good, but you kind of wanted more to see what these were like, and this time you get a whole bunch of them. So basically, the Doctor saves the day. He saves the day by rescuing the children of the Racnoss from both of them, which was, I really think, it was cool to see the Doctor make that decision, and he took the Racnoss and he flew them away. He basically took them to a different place so they would not be corrupted, because he saw that the Racnoss can easily be corruptible. I also like, one of my favorite lines from this entire story was, it's like having 2 Tegans in the room. I just laughed at that. That was the one line in this entire thing that made me laugh. So overall, Empire of the Racnoss was a very enjoyable story. It was definitely cool to get more of the Racnoss. Definitely not as good, I don't think, as Day of the Fascinarada. I think that story on Day and Night were both really good, and that kind of set the bar for this one. But on its own, the story is most going to be remembered for at least expanding a little bit more about the Racnoss. You get to see a little bit more of their kind of world, how they you get to see their more hierarchy, which I thought was cool. And, of course, the Doctor kind of just started with helping. I love that. It's always the Doctor trying to start just helping, and then it leads to all of it. And this story definitely proves it. I also thought the performance of the Racnoss was really good in this story. Now, sometimes, probably the way I was listening to it, it was sometimes hard to hear the dialogue of the Racnoss. I kind of probably missed a few parts, so I should listen to it, because I listened to it in a car. So I probably missed a few things. But I did catch that Tegan line for some reason. That's how my ears work, I guess. So, Empire of the Racnoss, pretty good of story. So, the 3rd story in the box set is the Carrionite Curse. Now, this story, I enjoyed it. It was definitely more one of those stories, like, I didn't really think I was going to like it, and I almost didn't at times. It was kind of one of the stories that I kind of drifted off a little bit at times, because it's like, it didn't really captivate me as the other 3. probably because I didn't really enjoy the Shakespearean Code. It's not one of my favorite Doctor Who stories. That might be why. So for me, these are the same monsters from it. So yeah, it's probably why I didn't enjoy this one. But I still had a really fun time listening to this one, because I just felt the Sixth Doctor having fun at the beginning, where he's juggling water balloons and being a children's entertainer, and then just battling the witches with words. That was just fun to listen to. That was my favorite part of the story. I really enjoyed was just hearing Colin Baker. He always gives great performances in every single audio with him that I listen to. So that, every single time, even if the story is not what I'm enjoying, Colin Baker always saves the day. So of course, the big thing about the story is it's a witch. There's a witch trial in the 1980s, which, when I first read the plot synopsis, that captivated me. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? We're all in the 1880s. This is going to be very interesting. And it was. When you first hear the opening, the pre-title sequence, and you're just listening, you're like, am I really listening to this? Whoa. This is awesome. This is like this. I saved, and then of course it happens to be a witch. But it just felt like one of those classic, like, Salem witch trials books I read about the thing. And there's a Doctor Who book, The Witch Hunters, that I really should review sometime, because it's really a fascinating read. I'm on another tangent, but of course the Sixth Doctor arrives and he's like, what is going on? You know, he's kind of like, he stops the witch trial, but of course this starts the entire chain of events. And you feel like, now this story, it did have one very interesting thing that I did not expect. It connected back to the Shakespearean Code. I did not expect that. It felt like it was something that I was thinking in my head, okay, are they going to do this? I don't really see it, but it kind of made sense, you know, because the 10th Doctor met them, and that was in the past. But right when they said the Globe Theater point, I'm like, yep, they're going that. And they did. And it was like the Doctor being there was using the power, it was energy to bring the witches back. And then we learned Carrionites, and of course, that. And they did come back, but they were stopped by burning of a book. Kind of then they're gone. Because they weren't really in our world. They had to be brought to our world. One of the most enjoyable parts I had with the story was the character of, let me get the name, Katie. There it is. Katie. I think Katie is an excellent companion to the Sixth Doctor in the story. She was just kind of the perfect complement, because, you know, when you want a companion, you kind of like that, to have the complement to the Sixth Doctor. And their interaction was brilliant. It kind of made me want to have a little bit more, see her as a companion, but one of the best parts of the story. Yeah. So, what did I think of the Carronite Curse? Well, it's kind of a mixed bag episode. I think it's mostly due to the fact that I'm not a huge fan of the Shakespearean Code. But I really think the saving grace of this episode is that how much connection it had to the Shakespearean Code, even if it felt a lot like it sometimes. But, you know, the Sixth Doctor's performance and Katie and just the fun of the Doctor, I really think is the saving grace of this episode. And to me, in this 4-episode box set, all three of the stories I've already talked about have been pretty enjoyable, and this one just is a little bit lower than all the other ones. There's a lot on these monsters that were explored in season 3 and 4, and I think that's what this box set is great at. And yeah, I would definitely recommend anyone pick up this box set, because no matter what, you're going to have a fun time listening to all these stories and all the adventures that these Doctors are going to have facing some new series monsters. So, what is my favorite story? Do I have a favorite story out of this box set? And I'm gonna go with Day of the Vasnarada. I really like that story just because of the Time War element of it, the kind of trying to control the Vasnarada, and those parts of that story, and that gets me really excited for the new war. The Time War series with the 8th Doctor really gives the top spot because of that. So, that's it for tonight. I really hope you guys enjoyed my little review of Classic Doctor's New Monsters. It was definitely an enjoyable time listening to this, and I cannot wait for more Big Finish releases, because there's a lot of good ones coming up in the next coming months, especially this month, which is going to be Torchwood Aliens Among Us, and I cannot wait to listen to that one. It's going to be a 3-part box set, so I'm hoping it's going to be really good, because it's supposed to be like the Series 5 of Torchwood, kind of. So I'm really curious what's going to happen in that one. And there's the Time War series, and of course the Early Adventures range is back in September, which is one of my favorite ranges from Big Finish. I will see you guys in the next one. If you like this video, click that like button, and if you've listened to this box set, tell me your thoughts on this box set in the comments below, or just tell me what your favorite monster that was featured in this release is. What other new series monsters or villains would you like to see Big Finish explore in the future? See you guys in the next one. Have a great night. Bye, everyone.